What's up? Okay, I'm trying a little bit of a different video today, and I want to show you guys a couple of things that I do when I am putting together my slingshots that I sell on my Etsy page. One thing that you'll notice if you buy a slingshot from me, and I got a couple of these that need to go out today, so I figured it would be a really good day to show you. A couple of gold descenders there. So you're going to notice that you get a package like this in my package. You get a little Ziploc bag and it's filled with a few things. And what those things are is as follows. Basically, you're going to get a few of these, which are for tying the band to the pouch. You're going to get some extra bands, which the big thick bands like this are what make the ammo move downrange. And then you'll find a few of these. And so this is a real thin, sort of plasticky strip, and this is a latex strip. And so you can see the difference between them. One's obviously a little bit longer. Obviously, one's a little bit thicker. I'm just going to try to get the light in there. And this one's a little bit shiny. So I want to show you guys what the differences are. These are for attaching the bands to the frame of the slingshot. Okay. These are for attaching the pouch to the bands. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I use this simple little wooden block that I made with a couple of pegs in it. And what I would typically do is I would get a band, and my bands are tapered too from 1 inch to 3/4 inch. So you want to find the thinner side, which if you hold them up to each other, you can see that one is not quite as wide. So you want to find the one that's not quite as wide, and that's the side that attaches to the pouch. And what I would do is I would take the end and I would roll it like that. And then I would use my little tool like this. I would stick it up, put the latex inside there, like that. And then pull this so that it pulls the latex through the pouch. Now, if you don't have that little tool, it's still relatively easy. Just takes a little bit of work. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to roll it up like that. And you're going to go in through the side where the ball goes. I like to use the label side, which is like a soft microfiber, and the back side is like kind of a leathery type surface. So you want to go into the side where the ball is, and you're just going to push in the hole, and then when you get a piece of it through the hole, you're going to pull the latex out the back. And let it work, because you don't want to rip the latex. And then what you're going to do is try to tri-fold it inside that hole. And then if you give it a few pulls tight, it actually winds pretty nicely in there. Okay. And you're only going to need, like, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch at the most sticking out of the back of there. Just like that. Okay. And then you're going to take your other piece of band, your other band for the other side, and you're going to roll it. So if you started with your thumb this way and you rolled it like that, you're just going to do the opposite way this time. So start with your index finger and roll it the reverse way. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stick it up into the hole, and then out the back, try to grab onto a piece of it. Sometimes it works better if you just take the corner and you stick the corner of the latex through the back. So typically I don't have the camera in my way when I'm doing this, so it's a little bit awkward, but you just pull it through until you get it through evenly. And again, don't yank too hard or anything, just let it come through nice and smoothly so that the latex doesn't break. Alright, now you can see this side, the little tag end is toward the side, so I'm going to make this symmetrical and do the same thing on this one. You want it to be like the mirror image on the other side. So roll that over, and then you got to make both of these tags even, because you want the same amount on both sides to be through there, and that way your bands stay even. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And you can see the little tag end is over here, little tag end is over here. They're mirror images of each other. So typically I would use this, and I got my clamp here, and what I would do is I would just pinch this, fold it down like that, and then pinch my clamp onto the top. And you can see I've drilled a few holes in here. Then the pouch has the center hole, and I use this peg system with this little board that I made. So I would just throw the center hole onto the nail, and then pull the first hole over this nail, and that gives it just enough stretch. So it's not very much stretch, but it gives it just enough stretch that when you release the clamp, when the latex comes back together, these little plastic strips will stretch a little bit, and it'll seat in there nicely. If you stretch it too much, you'll get breakages a lot sooner while shooting at the pouch end than you will if you just stretch it just a little bit. But you'll see I do have 2 holes down here, and the reason is because some latex stretches so much further than other latexes, and on that really stretchy stuff, like the green bands that I get from Five Below, you have to stretch them more. Otherwise the bands start to slip through this little plasticky tape ribbon stuff, and you don't want that to happen either, so you do need to stretch that stuff more, but typically you're only going to stretch it just a little bit. At home you probably won't have that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what to do if you don't have a setup like this. Okay, so I'm going to show you what to do if you don't have that jig here. So you're going to take your little tab end here, just like this, and just the clamp, which you can buy these for like $2. They're real tight, and they have this rubber piece over the top of it. You're going to go and you're going to clamp this down. Just like this. And get it all the way up against the all the way up against the pouch there, so there's no gap in between the clamp and the pouch. And then what you're going to do, see if that'll stand up, maybe. Maybe not. You're just going to take this and you're going to wrap it a couple of times around. So I'm going to move this just slightly so you can get a little bit better light there. Now this stuff stretches pretty good. So you're going to take it and wrap it around. One time, over, pull a little tight. One time, under, pull a little tight. Then take the other side, wrap it one time, over, pull a little tight. One time, under, pull a little tight. And then you're just going to tie a square knot. So you go left over right and pull, right over left, and pull nice and tight. And then while it's still in there, it's going to be very helpful to pull them a little bit, take a pair of scissors, and cut pretty close to the knot that you made. And then when you let go, it'll be decently tight in there. Now, this isn't perfect. As you pull, it might start to slide a little bit, but what I've noticed doing it this way is that there's very little, it might slide a little bit, but because of the end the way that it is in this, don't trim off the edge right away. So typically when I have it in the jig, I trim this little tag end off because honestly it's just extra. But when you aren't pulling the latex tight to bind it, you're relying on the strength of this tape or ribbon or whatever this is. So you want to give it a few pulls and you'll notice that it'll start to slide a little bit. And you can even attach it to the Slingshot frame and then shoot a few times with it. And what you'll notice is that it takes a set point. And once it takes the set, you can trim off the edge. But you don't need to do that right away. So then you're going to do the same thing here on this side. Going to pull that over the top so it's nice. Take your clamp down all the way tight up against the pouch so that there's no gap. So you want the pouch to be almost inside the clamp, but not inside the clamp. And then you're going to take your other piece of thread and you're going to do the same thing. Pull it nice and tight. You're going to wrap it once around and over, nice and tight. Once around and under, pull nice and tight. Then take the other side, around and over, other side, around and under. And then you're going to tie a square knot. So first it is left over, left side over under, and the right side over under. Pull tight. Make sure you keep this ribbon stuff pretty tight too while you're wrapping. It is pretty stretchy and it might feel thin and sort of flimsy, but I've never had this stuff break. can pull really hard on it and it's not going to break. So undo. And then see, you have two pretty good ties. You can pull them apart. They'll start to move a little bit. They'll set a little bit, and that's okay. But you can see, if you put these two ends, that they're almost perfectly even. And that's all you need to do. So when you get that baggie from me, when you buy from my Etsy page or eBay, you will notice that that comes in a bag like this. You'll get your steel balls. You'll get a few real thin pieces of latex, and you'll get a few pieces of this. I think they call it tape, amber tape, but this is Slingshots version. And Slingshots, when I buy it from Slingshots, it becomes black, which I think is really cool. Comes in a roll like this. And yeah, it's real simple to just tie this, wrap it around a few times, nice and tight, and then tie a square knot. So this is one that I did with the jig, and you'll see it's quite a bit tighter around there than this one, which I did by hand. And then I cut the excess off this one because it won't slip out of there. It won't. But this is plenty strong to shoot with, and the fact that it's not wrapped so tightly may make it last even longer. I haven't had a lot of shooting experience with them yet, so I don't know that that's the case, but it may very well be the case. But again, when you wrap it by hand, don't trim the tag end early, because there will be a little bit of play in there, and you might notice that this starts to slip. Once you've gotten about 20 or 30 shots in, it'll set to where it's going to set, and then you can trim this off if you want to. Okay, so the next step is just attaching it to the slingshot. I use this little tool. I don't even know where I got this, but it's basically a piece of wire attached to this loop of leather. But you can do the same thing with a piece of string, or you can use this, which is the tape, or the ribbon, or whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to take this slingshot, and you want to pull the bands evenly, just like that. And you're going to take one of the faces of the latex and put it over the end of the fork, and then what I like to do is wrap and kind of pinch. And you're going to put about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of latex over the top of the fork. And then you're going to take your other strip of latex in there, and you'll start by pinching it with your thumb like that, and then wrap one all the way around. Once you've got it, don't pull too hard on this stuff either, although you can pull a lot harder than I'm probably pulling. I like to fold the little tag end up and then wrap it on top of that, but that's an unnecessary step. You don't have to do that. Then I'll take it over for a second time, and that's when I put this like that. And then I wrap the latex over the top of it. Not once, but twice. And then on the third go round, you're going to take the end and slide it up into your piece of wire or piece of string or piece of tie-on ribbon, and then pull this through just until it comes out. Then you're going to pull on the extra latex a little bit, snip with the scissors, and finish pulling it through. And that's going to create a real strong bind. On my descenders, you get latex tubing on there all the way over the top, so to protect the edge, and that helps to protect the latex of the bands. And because there's so much, if you wrap it tight enough, there's so much latex in there that it just really is going to bind onto itself, and it won't go anywhere at all.